I think they've sorted out how to deal with the volume problem, right? The classic 3 V's of big data, volume, velocity, and variety. So they've really figured out how to tackle volume and, in many cases, velocity, handling data faster and getting data out quicker. But now they're starting to figure out how to tackle the variety of data and the variety of information in their enterprise. And this is a really big problem, especially for the largest companies, because as they've automated all of their processes in their companies over the last 30 or 40 years, they've built data silos that are specific to those business processes and those applications. But when they ask analytical questions, oftentimes they're asking questions across a broad variety of different data sources. And in order to do that well, they have to figure out how to manage the variety of data at very, very large scale. Imagine you're trying to take a user, right, that's referred to in some document somewhere, and understand if that user is the same as the user over in this log system over here. And resolving that entity is something that using Tamr and Basis together can actually help you accomplish that and get this unified view of very simple things in your company. Who are my users? Who are my customers? Very common question to ask. I really believe that ultimately, and maybe that's the next 10 or 15 years, we're going to find that unstructured and structured data kind of really does come together. This is manifest actually in the way that people use the consumer internet today. If you search on someone famous like J.J. Abrams, a famous director, on Google, what you get is 2 different panes. You get on the left-hand side, you get the standard Google search results, and on the right-hand side, what you're going to get is an info box that is a highly curated set of information about J.J. Abrams with pictures of him and such. It's a really great example of how unstructured and structured data is coming together. All enterprises are going to have to deliver a similar experience for their users, because these folks, when they go home at night, right, from their job, they use the internet, they come to expect these kinds of interactions. When they come into work in the morning, they should have a similar kind of experience where they have structured and unstructured data integrated together to help them answer simple questions. It's things like, I want to know about who are our biggest suppliers, and having a simple list of here are all the suppliers and here are the basic information. And then you click on one of those links and you drill down again. You get this info box or a landing page that has everything we know inside of our company about that supplier. Same thing for customer. One of our largest customers is Toyota over in Europe. And what Toyota is using, Toyota Motors Europe is doing with Tamr, is they're using us to integrate customer information from all the different dealerships and the dealer management systems across Toyota in Europe, and get a single unified view of their customers. So as those customers move or change or need service, that they'll always know who that customer is, and enable the ability of the Toyota organization and their dealerships to actually create a more thoughtful and longitudinal conversation with that customer about what they need and how Toyota can help fill their needs. As you make information more openly available and more accessible inside the enterprise, it empowers people to take action and answer hard questions from the bottom up. And it's a very different information access model than many people in traditional hierarchical top-down companies are used to seeing, but it's very powerful. If you want to have an innovative organization that moves very fast and where people are empowered to do things very quickly, it's essential that you have this bottom-up philosophy around information access and information control. Most people now are being conditioned in companies, if they're going to compete in a global landscape, really need to figure out how to get more information available to every person in their company so that each one of them can make better decisions every single day. You can't compete at a global scale unless you can compete on data and analytics. And the only way you do that is by making this data and these analytics more accessible. One of my good friends loves to talk about the democratization of analytics. analytics, which I think is a really important trend. Lots of people are going to have these much better visualization tools, are going to be able to work with the data that they have. But if you democratize analytics in the enterprise, very quickly you realize that you also need to democratize the data. And that if you don't have that data pre-organized, pre-prepared using tools like Basis and Tamr, that you're going to find that you've got a lot of people analyzing a bunch of data that's inaccurate, or going over and over again preparing that data for analysis. Sooner or later, those data lakes, they come back to the same question. Well, how do I organize my data? And if I have an attribute like customer, and I've actually got, and if I've got hundreds of those attributes called customer in my data lake, well, how is all that data related, and how is it the same or different? And if some of it's unstructured, some of it's semi-structured, and some of it's structured, like how do I sort that out and figure out what data I actually want to use? The first phase of big data was about dealing with the volume of data and the velocity of data. And now we're into this variety problem. Like, how do you take all these different idiosyncratic sources and resolve them, whether they're structured, the kind of things that we do at Tamr, or whether they're unstructured, the kind of thing like Basis is really, really good at. And over time, what you're going to probably find is that the expectations of the users inside these enterprises are going to reflect what they experience on the modern internet. And this is what's so incredibly powerful about Basis, is that it's the core technology used for resolving entities and doing unstructured kinds of things at places like Google and Decca and Oracle, and so very natural, right, for for enterprises to use things like Basis and again complemented with Tamr in order to create these experiences for users inside the enterprise that are on par with what they get when they go to Google every day and search for things that are interesting to them. One of our largest customers is Toyota Motors in Europe. We're really excited about the work we're doing with them, and I've been blown away by the innovative nature of many of the people in the Toyota organization. They're really looking for ways to differentiate Toyota and so enable Toyota to compete on analytics. Many of these users inside of big companies have been conditioned to expect less of information resources inside of their company, and we think, companies like Tamr and Basis can be used together to deliver experiences for those users that really take their productivity to the next level inside of these very large companies. The most satisfying thing for me as an engineer is when we build something, the people that I work with build something that's used at very large scale by lots and lots of people. It's what satisfies engineers, to see the things that they build actually get used and create benefit. And I think one of the areas that I'm most excited about for the application of technologies like Basis and Tamr is in the life sciences, where you're working with large biopharmaceutical organizations that are trying to discover drugs that make a difference in the lives of patients. When we at Tamr are able to help those organizations become more productive, there's a chance that that may contribute toward bringing a medicine to patients that are in need. And that's very satisfying. We love to align ourselves around mission-driven companies that are trying to make a difference in the world. A lot of financial services companies are responsible for knowing who they're doing business with so that they don't get themselves into trouble. And knowing who their customers are sounds like it should be a really simple thing, but if you look at a large organization that's been through a lot of M&A or even just has different data silos, sometimes just that simple thing of knowing who their customers are is a fundamentally challenging thing. And so using tools like Tamr and Basis together, you can develop very, very quickly an integrated picture of everything you know about any given customer, and a very, sort of good master list of who all your customers are that's dynamically generated, so that you can actually respond with confidence to all these know your customer kind of regulations. And also, it's just a good thing for people inside of your company to know about. We really, believe that, we come to work every day not to satisfy the interests of some venture capitalists that might have invested in us, or, some random, sort of big vendor somewhere. We come to work every day to help our customers use information more effectively. At the end of the day, one of the things that really differentiates Tamr is we're completely committed to the success of our customers every single day. And it's really hard. In the enterprise, 8 out of 10 projects in enterprise information technology fail. And so the odds are sort of stacked against you. And it takes this sort of irrational kind of a commitment to just do whatever it takes to make your customers successful. And so I think that really differentiates us, especially when you've got a whole bunch of companies out there that are maybe just being kind of opportunistic and saying what they need in order to get funds raised or venture capital or what have you. Because at the end of the day, if you don't deploy real systems on the ground and satisfy real users, then what's the point? Why are you building this technology? And using the right technologies together is really essential. And I think that when you apply them in the right way, that you can create applications that many people in the enterprise don't believe are possible. You can actually create experiences today using Tamr and Basis that are the equivalent of what you get when you go to Google and search for J.J. Abrams or whoever. And those are the kinds of things where I think there's the biggest potential, right? And not betting on one big vendor who's going to put together a project and charge you $100 million and not really care whether you roll it out or not, but rather working with some smaller vendors who are very innovative, have the best technology in the world, and using them together in a smart way. That's how I think you get to deliver these kinds of better experiences for your end users.